Happy birthday to you. Thinking back, when I first met Zuzana and Andrei Radovsky, I had no idea I'd end up making a film about them. I didn't even know anything about Czechoslovakia. The only thing I remembered were some black and white television images of tanks and trucks rolling down the streets of a place called Prague back in 1968. After that, Czechoslovakia disappeared from the news and I quickly forgot about it. Years later, I was working as a still photographer in Washington, D.C., trying to make a living photographing old buildings under reconstruction. A little fellow named Barrianos was paying me to crawl around in the dirt of Union Station and take pictures of his workers. I made friends with most of the guys on the construction site as they hauled the marble or did the design work or climbed the scaffolding, and I went up right along with them. So I was a little surprised when I saw a couple of newcomers on the site. One of them was named Andrei Rudovsky, and well, at first I couldn't even pronounce his name. His English wasn't very good, but I managed to find out that he was from Czechoslovakia and had only been in America for about 6 months. He was an artist and trying to support himself by working construction, and somewhere around here was his sister, also at work. When I found Susanna, communication got a little better, but not much. Seeing all my cameras, she said that her brother was interested in making movies and would I come talk to him sometime. Well, I'd never met anybody from Czechoslovakia before, and I was curious about them. So I went to see Susie and Andre.
Okay, so it all started with my mother's parents. My grandmother, she painted glass paintings. My grandfather, he was carving sculptures, folk sculptures from wood. My mother is a fiber artist and my father is a sculptor. So my parents had us. So I do textile and Andre does everything.
I do paintings, I do drawings, I do film, I do music. I like to dance, I like to sing, I like to play, I like to do sculptures. I'm just looking what is the best for me, and I don't feel yet that I find the right way. Maybe I'll put it somehow in future together and I will be satisfied. I am still not satisfied what I am doing. It's like now I was working a long time on films. I think now I will finish. Maybe I will not finish those films. Maybe later. Because now I feel I need to do something else. Maybe I will do music, you know. Maybe after I will use the music to the films. Maybe after I will do drawings or paintings. Maybe there will be some inspiration for something else. So it's like changing of the media.
And there is this funny thing I have to tell you about my parents. They never wanted us to be artists because they said it's too difficult to live as an artist. And when we decided to be artists, maybe my father's dream was that Andre would be a sculptor. And when Andre started the movies, my father was taking it, what is he doing? What kind of artist is, you know, like, what is he, crazy or what, you know, why doesn't he do something real? So we had to hide Andre. My mother was always hiding him, like giving him money for the movie, and my father didn't know.
Maybe one day, a toing, it will jump on my head and I will know why I was doing all these things.
Well, I was amazed at how much talent my two new friends had. But I quickly discovered that even with all this talent, it was almost impossible for them to make a living as artists in America. When you live in America, you forget how strange and difficult it is for people coming from other countries. So I wanted to help the Radowskis get used to America because actually I kind of like the place. But another thought occurred to me that maybe I could learn something about America through their eyes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Petey. Happy birthday to you.
Vicky.
To máš kamenky.
Ty bre, Vicky.
Why are you taping me? Tape him.
Odkiaľ máš? Dobrý. Dobre.
Yeah, I came to America because my country has disappointed me very much. Number one, I believed very much in truthfulness of my country. Even everywhere I turned were mostly told lies. Still, I believed, yeah. Coming to America was just the biggest change in my life, the biggest cultural shock, I could say. The real biggest shock in my life, because when we came, we didn't have anything here. I didn't speak any English. Everything here was so different from Europe. And I didn't really know anybody, maybe one person, two people, the most there. I could say one person, and that was it. And it was very difficult to get used for me, and I think for my brother too.
And when we were coming to America, when we were looking from the plane, there were just these small bungalows, houses.
And like hundreds of these buildings and hundreds of these cars and nothing else.
Just the small houses, like Kreuz, streets like this and like this. So I thought it's like second refugee camp.
So our plane landed, and that was the shock.
And it was like shock, aesthetic shock.
We never saw people dressed like that.
There were big men and women in tennis shoes with this.
So this woman walked right as the first person we met, like in front of us, yeah? And then few more people like this. And we had shock like never before, and we looked at each other and we said, so where did we come? Oh my God, or something like that, yeah.
I said, I want to go home.
And we were sure like, we want to go back, we don't want to be here.
I felt like I was watching a process that had happened at least a million times before in the history of America. As I got closer to Susie and Andre, I found that, not surprisingly, most of their friends were also artists from Czechoslovakia. Everywhere I went, I seemed to meet yet another Czech or Slovak writer or painter or sculptor, and I started to wonder if maybe we were going to be overrun by these tall, talented people. The wonderful thing was the way they helped each other out. I got a real sense of community, kind of a little Czechoslovakia in action.
No, I remember Andre came to it was a small apartment on 4th Street, and he came with his backpack full of these things sticking out, like his artwork. And I liked the work very much, but in the same time I said, like, well, I have to tell him to get this portfolio, which everybody else is having. And I felt bad about it because I thought it's nice if somebody is different and has got a backpack with things sticking out, and why should he have a portfolio like everybody else? But eventually he had to do it because that's the way how to go about the work. So he bought the portfolio, and we were trying to kind of figure out what it should look like. And in the same time, I been working for New York Times since 1984, and I took him over there, and he got a job right away, and he's still getting work from them, which I can't say about some other people I took there. And so then I used like other contacts and other names of people I would be working with most and send him over there.
When I was living in Washington, when I came here for 1 or 2 weeks, and I was just walking from one newspaper to other, they were like saying, "Oh, it's very European. It needs to be more colorful, or it needs to be more fun, more easy, not so many details." And I think that's prostitution a little. When I do illustration, I'm trying to do the illustration like more like my art. I'm trying not to sell my style, you know. I'm trying to be myself.
I had forgotten what something as simple as the Statue of Liberty can mean to people from other countries. As we watched the sunset, Andrei reminded me that his parents still lived in Czechoslovakia, but still couldn't leave. Suddenly, after more than 20 years, Susie and Andrei's parents received permission to leave Czechoslovakia. Well, the first thing Maria and Andrei Sr. wanted to do was come to America to see their children. At one time, the Radovskis never thought they would see each other again. So I was expecting quite a scene at the airport. I was a little nervous meeting my girlfriend's parents for the first time, especially since I was going to be sticking a TV camera in their faces. Maybe it was a good thing I couldn't understand their language. The Radovskis had reached America at a crucial time for young Andrei. He was preparing to have his first major American show at the Gallery K in Washington, D.C. They immediately went to work solving the problems of mounting the exhibition in the same way they approached many of the challenges in their life, as a family. Younger Andrei painted, older Andrei made the frames, Susanna made the phone calls, and Maria, as always, made sure everything ran smoothly.
In your country, you do this, right?
Myslím si, že naše deti odišli do sveta a že trošku odniesli do cudziny aj z nášho sveta, proste z našich myšlienok, pretože spolu s nami žili, existovali, spolu sme debatovali o umení, alebo sme žili v jednom čase a v jednom priestore, ktorý na nás spoločne vplýva. Určite po niekoľkých rokoch proste ich tvorba bude poznačená novými božstvami, novými nejakými kultúrami, ktoré na nich vplývajú a my sa zase budeme ovplyvňovať cez to more proste ich výdobytkami. Môžeš si vybrať jednu kresbu? Chceš si vybrať? Ale to sú, vieš, to škaredé kresby?
Gary, you want picture?
Sure.
Yeah? You'll write like for Griffin or something like that.
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah?
Griffin, which one? I think this one.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Griffin.
Ďakujem.
I don't believe it, Griffin.
Why?
They still want to go here and they must go there. And I'm explaining them and they don't listen to me even now. Let's go.
Marie and Andre's time in America was up. Their visa had expired, and they were going home to communism, to the other side, to the enemy, as I've always been taught. I was frightened for them, and I kept hoping that somehow they could stay. In Czechoslovakia, Marie and Andre had always been in trouble with the government. That's why their children still couldn't go home. I think that when they set foot on that airplane, they had no idea what they were going back to. On November 17th of 1989, the first pictures started to come out of Czechoslovakia of the Velvet Revolution. After an absence of 20 years, the streets of Prague were again on my TV screen. I decided that now was as good a time as any to go see the Radovskys in Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia. I was nervous. I'd never been in a revolution before, or even to a communist country. I didn't speak the language, but armed with a dictionary and my friend Doug Wallach, I set out. After talking our way across the border, I still have no idea what I said to the guards. We arrived at the Radovskys' apartment at 4 o'clock in the morning. I had no idea what kind of reception we were going to get, showing up in the middle of the night like that.
Hello, Griffin! Oh! Dáme si vína! Marinka, Griffin je tu! Griffin! Griffin z Ameriky! Oh! Hehe, Griffin! Na zdravie!
Áno, ale on ich nemá vybraté. My tu, si tam?
Máme blázni.
Máme naše, čo teraz? Vôbec volá.
I had come to see the revolution, and this man was going to be my guide.
tých Američanov do Ameriky. By sa už nebali. No. Toto bude rarita. Že toto je for Zuzana, Andrew a Ondrej, vieš?
No. Čo je?
Čo je to?
Bratislava, Austria.
Vieš, čo to je? Grence, hranica.
Preložím to.
Rozumieš?
The revolution was like magic for me. Everywhere I turned, something seemed to be happening. People would come up and tell me their life story or show me something wonderful. But beneath all of the happiness, there was a great sense of tragedy, like they were mourning for the things they had lost after the Russian invasion of '68. I kept wondering why my friends Marie and Andre were so happy and yet so sad.
Ten 68. rok to tak strašne, odvtedy sme sa vlastne strašne začali bať. V podstate prestali sme chodiť do sveta, prestalo sa cestovať, všetky výstavy medzinárodné boli zarazené, burali sa sochy, viedli sa rôzne súdy proti nám a vyhadzovali sa veci z výstav nielen nám, ale aj iným výtvarníkom. Takže medzi tým nám emigrovali deti do cudziny. Takže vlastne tých 20 rokov v podstate to sa ani nedá povedať, či to bol život. Skoro ako keby to bol taký zastavený život.
In 1968, Maria and Andre were just starting out. Andre was working as a sculptor and Maria in textiles while raising the two rambunctious children that would later become my friends. The difference between their childhood and mine was that we didn't have tanks rolling down the middle of Main Street in my hometown. After the invasion, Andre was thrown out of the artists' union for making what they called anti-socialist art. This meant he could no longer show or sell his works in public. For the next 10 years, Maria supported the family. But even she was forbidden to show her textiles outside of her own country. While Andre's art had been banned, he's never stopped working on it. So in 1976, the government decided to destroy 7 of his huge sculptures with dynamite. I think that little by little, the government was trying to break Andre's spirit, trying to break his heart by destroying the sculptures. The Radowskis looked for the fragments of the sculptures for many years, but never found them. Andre said it was like a mother looking everywhere for her lost children.
To je ten komunizmus.
To sú tieto čiarky, že?
On my last day in Czechoslovakia, Andre discovered where his broken sculptures had been taken. In the garbage dump of an army base outside Bratislava, he found the fragments of his sculptures and those of many of his friends lying in a bed of weeds. For the first time in 13 years, Andre came face to face with the destruction of his work.
Vypadá si, ako keby som to vysvetlil. Áno, spodok, áno, spodok je tak. Takto a tam ešte.
Ztratil náš domov.
To je spodové.
To je druhý kus, tam sú rozstrelané tie malé kusy.
Plakať nesmie. Tvár zamrzli by nám slzy. Tak plačeme do svojho dnu. Tak plačeme do svojho dnu. A kráčam proti vetru. Sme bezmocní a strach. Máme strach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, Griffin, very thank you.
Very
Moment.
thank you, very excuse me.
Hovori ahoj a tvoji děti.
Ahoj, Griffin, pozdravuj moje deti.
Ahoj,
Zuzanu
ahoj Zuzka,
a Andreja.
Ondríš, touto rukou, lebo touto nemôžem. Obidvomi. Ahoj.
Dobre, ďakujem. When I finally left Czechoslovakia, I kept wondering if I would ever see Marie and Andre again. But I was anxious to go home and see how the revolution had affected their children in America. When I reached Susie and Andre in New York City, I found them hard at work. They were free to go home again, but actually couldn't afford to. So Andre donned one of his costumes, and he and Susie made a film about the revolution that they were going to send home to Václav Havel, the new president of Czechoslovakia.
First I had some material which was close to the revolution. It was looking like revolution, but it was more surrealistic. And I just used my things which I had, and I just made the end, the people with the flags and Havel said. So I mix it together, and it's okay. I think it's together. This will be like how you call it, meditation movie. This is just first explosion. Now I will put there maybe 20 explosions with lights and bubbles, and because everywhere in each movie playing just me, I'm just playing, so sometimes very hard, and my sister too. Yeah, it's all me, and Havel is Havel, so I can't be Havel.
I wasn't home very long before an American television network sent me back to Eastern Europe. So while I was there, I decided to stop in and see my friends in Czechoslovakia. Things had changed a little bit since my first visit. The new government was now tearing down the old communist sculptures, even as Andrei was building new ones. One of the things I always admired about Andrei was his resilience. Even though he'd been very depressed after finding the broken sculptures, he turned that around by starting to create again. Taking pieces of one of the steel sculptures that the communists had torn down, he welded them together to make an entirely new work. Andrei always liked big sculptures. I sometimes thought he was competing with the communists pound for pound. This time, he said, he was making a monument to both the lost sculptures and the times that they had lived through.
Ale z tejto výtvarnej pasivity sa dostala skorej moja žena Marienka. Proste mám taký dojem, že ženy majú nejaký zvláštny kód, možno, že je to aj kód, ktorý nejak pramení v tom, že sú matky. A ona sa skorej prebudila z tejto pasivity, než ja, ktorý vyzerám akože mohutnejší, ja som muž.
Maria was kind of a mystery for me. She was always so quiet, but had a certain strength about her, too. In her work, I found the most powerful symbol of the pain that the Radowskis had been through. Zuzana and Andrei had escaped from Czechoslovakia in 1986, soon after Maria and Andrei had been threatened with a prison term. To overcome the sadness of losing her children, Maria started to create a series of small winged figures called protectors. She told me she wanted to make something, some symbol, some piece of art that could watch over her children since she couldn't protect them anymore. During all the hard years, Maria kept working on her art in the hopes that someday things would get better for her family.
Áno, ďakujem. Niekde, odkiaľ sú tam? Grifin. Zo Španielska? Grifin. Odkiaľ vonku sú stále.
One night when I arrived at Maria's studio, I found that I wasn't the only visitor. Mr. Číč, the Prime Minister of Slovakia, was looking for a present that the state could give to the Pope, who was coming to Bratislava in April. We all thought he was looking for one of Andrei's sculptures. But instead, he chose one of Maria's tapestries, one of her protectors called the Horska Madonna, or Mountain Woman, to be the state gift to the Pope. Well, surprise is too mild a word for the way that we felt. In a few short months, Maria had gone from being vilified as an artist to being honored by the entire nation.
Andrej bol strašne rád. Andrej bol viacej rád ako ja. Grifin, ja som mala toľko trápenia v živote, vieš, a smutku, že ja sa už neviem tešiť. Vieš, čo je to? Ja sa neviem radovať vlastne. Ja to neviem prejaviť navonok. Ja som sa vo vnútri tešila, ale navonok som to nevedela vyjadriť. Ani to neviem vyjadriť teraz, že mám radosť. Rozumieš? No. No, keď vznikala táto tapiséria, prežívala som smutný úsek môjho života s celou mojou rodinou. Vtedy aj emigrovali moje deti do USA. A povedala som si, že keď budem môcť robiť aspoň takto s rukami, radosť, že ja niečo urobím a darujem ti to, a to bude ten ochranca, protektor, hej, aby ťa ochraňoval. A vlastne ja mám radosť, keď majú druhí ľudia radosť. Ja robím ochrancov, keď niekomu darujem ochrancu, tak chcela by som, aby mal takú magickú silu, aby ho ochráňoval. Aby mu nejak pomáhal žiť. No a preto ma to ťahá, lebo toľkých kamarátov máme a ľudí a každý chce ochrancu. Takže To je zmysel taký nejaký života, aby druhí ľudia mali radosť z toho. A teraz ti to americky vysvetlím, dobre? Nerozumieš? Nič. Áno. Grifin, teraz slovensko-americky ti to poviem. Keď ja urobiť keramiku, protektor, ja prezent Grifin, this prefektor potom pomáha Grifinovi žiť. Rozumieš? Ja mám tu zafixované, že je to ochranca. Nerozumieš?
I kept thinking about what Maria had said about the protectors. I'm not real religious, but I do believe in spirituality, if you will, and I think we all hope that there's someone watching out for us out there. I think when Maria made the protectors, it was an appeal to the better natures of people to help her children out because they were so far away from her. Maybe in a small way, I was like a protector for Susie and Andre in America. I know that Maria and Andre were my protectors while I lived in Czechoslovakia. But I think the real strength of the protectors was that Maria made them to watch over all of us.
Takže my máme motív tvorby. Máme prečo ako. My vlastne žijeme pre tú tvorbu. To je náš zmysel života. Keby sme nemohli robiť, tak neviem, aký zmysel života by sme mali.
When I first started to make this film, I had no idea how involved I was going to become with the Radovskis. I miss them. We all seem so far away from each other now. Maybe it was because they made me laugh, or because they made me sad, too. Maybe because a lot of times I didn't even know what was going on. Or maybe it was the strength and hope I found in the way that they made art. I don't know why, but while I was editing this film, I always kept one of Maria's protectors on my shelf to maybe, just maybe, watch over me and the 4 friends I'd made along the way.